All right, I got another book review. This one here, I finished this book, and I do this, and I shouldn't do it. I should do a book review the minute I close the cover, because as soon as I close the cover, uh, the contents of the book start to fade, and if I start reading two or three other books between there, then it gets to be, and I'm probably not going to do Fernando any favors here, but this book was written by a guy named Fernando Aguirre. Now, he lived down there in Argentina, and the Argentina had an economic collapse back in 2001. I don't know if Americans, I don't know who all is going to follow these videos, but I'm an American. I live here in Missouri, and the I read these books primarily because I used to visit a website quite a bit, Frugal Squirrels. And Frugal Squirrels, this guy's, his pen name at Frugal Squirrel was Fairfowl. And he used to post on there almost every night. And it was great stuff. I mean, and I read his stuff as soon as it came up. I read it. So when this book came out, this is kind of a compilation, how do you want to say it? Whatever. It's a combination of all the stuff he's written. So there's limits to this. Obviously, if this was what this really is his experiences with the economic collapse in Argentina. Now, that has to be limited to what it is. Now, if you're worried, if you're concerned at all about an economic collapse of the United States, I can assure you that the economic collapse of the United States will make this look like some kind of a Sunday picnic. Things got bad in Argentina. They did. I mean, they were really bad. And what he describes that here in this book. And, you know, it's great to read through it and see what happened there to try to imagine what might happen here in the United States. There is no doubt anybody that's ever gone to high school and got the math class in high school has got to figure out that the United States cannot continue on its present course. It is not sustainable. It will end at some point. Now, nobody knows when. Everybody's astounded that it's gone as far as it has, but it has. So, up to today's point, this is October 2013. You can still go to work, you can still have your check direct deposited in your account, and you can still pay your bills, and lights are still on, internet's still working, the sun hasn't exploded, so, you know, life is great right now. The life is as good as it's ever going to be right this minute. You're right, tyranny is coming, more so than it is, than it has. It's going to get worse until people finally revolt, so that's not going to be good. But in this book, Fernando lists a whole bunch of stuff that happened to him and all his friends and business and all that kind of stuff. And then he describes what a guy could do about it, what he's done about it personally, and what a guy really could do about this thing. He also does not recommend bugging out to the country. He recommends things happen, stay in your own home. That's where all your stuff is. That's where your odds of survival is best. So stay in your own home. And there's a lot to be said for that. But there's a lot of qualifications too, because a lot of people live in situations where their survival is absolutely in jeopardy if they stay. So they would have to have some other method of survival other than where they live. That being said, this guy is a mixed martial artist. He practices quite a bit. He practices quite a bit with weapons, both edged weapons and firearms. And he recommends that you do the same, and that you don't trust anybody's judgment. You go out and do your own. For that much, I can't hardly imagine anything going wrong. So this is actually a great read. He was concerned. He made apologies in the beginning because his primary language is Spanish, and he had some other people help him write this book to make it more English friendly. And I want to tell you, Fernando, you did great. It's a great read. It's a fast read. It's not too technical, but it gets the point across. And a guy really should kind of read through this and see. What a guy really should do is take his example and get off the couch and get some exercise and get some training. That's what a guy should do. And then he should really consider what could happen which. I'll add my own note here, he makes it clear in here. If you own currency, if your personal wealth is contained in a country's currency, in paper, you can't lose it all of it. You should have your wealth, or at least a portion of your wealth, in things that cannot be taken from you and things that cannot be inflated to worthlessness. Farm equipment, farmland, gold and silver coins, firearms, ammunition, things that can't be inflated to zero. That's where you should have, I think, all of your wealth. But at least, some people are creating wealth by using paper, and which is fine. If it can work for you, knock yourself out. But remember that everything that you have that's in currency or in paper can be turned into worthlessness. Look at Zimbabwe. So, and there's a bunch of different examples of that, including here in Argentina. He made one point here I've never made anywhere else. I've never read anywhere else. They had a bank holiday. In other words, the banks closed and people couldn't get their money out. The point most people, and I never thought about this, and I've never heard anybody else talk about it, and I'm glad Fernando brought this up. The instant reaction from the population was no one spent a dollar. Not a single dollar. He makes a quote in here that a homeowner would not pay for a single liter of paint for his house because they didn't know what happened to the rest of their money. So as soon as that happened, now in this country, in America, 75% of the economy or thereabouts is based on consumer spending. Well, imagine what would happen to our economy if not a single person in the country would buy anything they didn't absolutely have to have, namely food and fuel. The economy would collapse instantly, and that's what happened here in Argentina, and that was the actual cause of the collapse. It was problems in the past, but that's what broke the camel's back. That was the straw that broke the camel's back, is when the population would not spend money on anything. So, Fernando, give you 2 thumbs up. Of course, they're my thumbs, and that's that's what it's good for. But you have to bear in mind that this book is about the financial collapse of an independent country. Now, if you want to extrapolate the information up to America, which is 10 times the size of the population-wise, and is the world at the present time is the world's reserve currency, the collapse of the American economy would be many fold worse than what was done here. So anyway, Fernando, you did good. I give you 2 thumbs up, and I'm going to go on to my next book review before I forget about that one. Job well done, man.